Imagine this. It's not aliens, not robots, not Terminids swarming out of the ground. Instead, the battlefield looks strangely familiar. Trenches, camouflage nets, drones circling overhead. On one side, 60 modern professional soldiers, Marines, Rangers, Commandos, armed with the best weapons of the 21st century, trained for every kind of warfare from desert to jungle. And across from them, not insurgents, not rival superpowers, but something stranger. 35 helldivers, dropping from orbit in steel pods, hitting the dirt at terminal velocity. They rise up in heavy armor, shouldering advanced rifles glowing with energy packs. Their helmets hide their faces. Their banners speak of managed democracy. And their mission is brutally simple: eliminate resistance. This is the fight no one asked for, but everyone wants to see. Could 35 helldivers take down 60 real-world modern soldiers? Who has the edge in training, weapons, and tactics? And if this impossible clash happened, who would walk away? Stay until the end, because the answer isn't as obvious as you might think. Who are the helldivers? Before we start comparing rifles and rockets, let's get one thing straight. Who exactly are the helldivers? In Helldivers to lore, they're not superhumans, mutants, or cybernetic killing machines. They're human, flesh and blood, but they represent the peak of military indoctrination and training in the future Super-Earth regime. Think of them as the Navy SEALs, Spetsnaz, or SAS of their time, except multiplied by propaganda, political zeal, and futuristic tech. Every helldiver is rigorously trained not just in combat, but in adaptability. Unlike modern infantry, who often specialize in roles: rifleman, grenadier, medic, marksman, helldivers are generalists. Any one of them can drop into hostile terrain, and within seconds deploy turrets, minefields, call in airstrikes, and coordinate assaults. Their mission parameters in the game: suicidal by our standards, deep behind enemy lines, often vastly outnumbered, tasked with objectives ranging from planetary extermination to heavy fortification breaches. And yet, they succeed. Not because they're immortal, they die constantly, but because of their doctrine. Helldivers are replaceable cogs in an unending machine. Their true strength lies in logistics, orbital firepower, and the sheer willpower to push objectives regardless of casualties. But strip away the sci-fi backdrop, and you're left with highly disciplined, extremely dangerous soldiers with cutting-edge gear. They're not berserkers. They're closer to a fusion of modern special forces and future technology. Modern soldiers, the real-world benchmark. Now let's look at the opposition. 60 modern soldiers. That's about the size of a reinforced rifle platoon with attachments. These aren't conscripts. Let's assume they're top-tier professionals, US, Marines, Army Rangers, or equivalent NATO forces. What does that give them? M4 carbines with optics, like a Korgs, or holographic sights. Light machine guns like the M249 SAW or M240 Bravo for suppressive fire. Anti-armor weapons such as AT-4, small, or javelin launchers. Precision rifles like the M110 or Barrett 50 cal 4 long-range fire. Mortar teams for indirect bombardment. Drones for reconnaissance. Radios and digital battlefield awareness. Most importantly, doctrine. Modern militaries train obsessively on small unit tactics, coordination, and combined arms. These 60 soldiers wouldn't fight like a mob. They'd move with overlapping fields of fire, communication networks, and careful use of cover. They also have one massive advantage helldivers don't: reality. Their weapons are proven, their supply chains real, their physics-based limits understood. No cooldown timers, no arbitrary limits on airstrikes. If a platoon radios for artillery, it may take minutes, but when it comes, it's devastating. So, on paper, 60 versus 35, twice the numbers. But numbers don't always tell the story. Let's break it down. Weapons. Side by side, this is where things get fun, because helldiver weapons range from familiar to completely alien. Laser rifle LOS-5 no recoil. Infinite effective range, limited only by battery packs. fires invisible beams almost instantly. In a duel, a modern rifleman with an M4 at a huge disadvantage. While the M4 is accurate up to about 500 meters, the laser has no bullet drop, no wind resistance, and no muzzle flash. The only counters, smoke, cover, and constant movement against unprepared modern troops. This would be devastating. Stalwart machine gun comparable to an M249 SAW or M240. But in lore it spits out rounds at terrifying fire rates. This one's more balanced. Modern machine guns are brutally effective, and here the contest depends on who sets up better firing lanes. Anti-material rifles, for example, railguns, autocannons. This is where reality tilts. Modern armies do have .50 caliber rifles capable of destroying vehicles, but a Helldiver railgun is essentially portable artillery. If even one makes it into play, lightly armored vehicles, bunkers, and even fortified positions become death traps. Eagle airstrikes equivalent to instantly calling in a 10 or F-16 strafing run. The difference, Helldivers call them at will, with near-instant response. Modern forces need air bases, comms clearance, flight time. The delay is the difference between wiping a squad in 10 seconds or 10 minutes. Orbital strikes here is where no comparison exists. Modern militaries have artillery, cruise missiles, or naval fire support, but nothing compares to an orbital cannon raining plasma or kinetic bombardments on command. For modern troops, the only defense is dispersal or pure luck. Exosuits XO-44, think of a two-legged mini-tank, twin autocannons, rocket pods, thick armor. Modern platoons can fight tanks, but usually with a handful of anti-armor missiles. 60 soldiers might carry, at best, 46 javelins. That's enough to knock out a couple of mechs. But if multiple drop simultaneously, the battlefield gets very ugly. Modern counters, it's not hopeless for the real-world soldiers, though. They have tricks too. Drones a platoon with modern UAVs gain situational awareness far beyond what Helldivers expect. In the game, enemies rush blindly. Real soldiers scout first. Knowing where Helldivers land is half the battle. Snipers a Barrack Dot 50 or a well-placed 7.6 to sniper rifle can penetrate armor, especially if helmets or joints are targeted. Helldivers aren't invincible. Their suits can stop small arms, but sustained heavy fire will break them. Mortar and artillery modern indirect fire is fast and precise. A well-trained mortar team would suppress Helldivers before they even advance. Electronic warfare, while this is speculative, real soldiers could theoretically jam comms. If Helldiver stratagem calls depend on uplinks, disruption might limit their most powerful tools. Tactics. How would the battle play out? Let's picture it. A reinforced platoon digs into a defensive line. Claymores, sandbags, LMGs setup. Drones scan the perimeter. Then, impact. -15 drop pods slam into the earth like meteors. Dirt flies, chaos erupts. Helldivers waste no time. Within seconds, automated turrets unfold, mechs roll out, and orbital strikes light the sky. The defenders react fast. Machine guns roar, mortar fire, snipers target exposed helmets, drones relay enemy positions. Every soldier fires disciplined bursts. This isn't a mob, it's a professional platoon, focusing fire where it counts. The first few minutes are chaos. Some Helldivers fall immediately, overwhelmed before setting up, but their overwhelming firepower begins to tell. A single orbital strike cracks a defensive bunker. An eagle strafing run tears through a machine gun nest. By the 10-minute mark, it's a question of attrition. Helldivers don't have endless supplies. Their turrets run dry. Mechs get knocked out by javelins. Stratagems are limited by cooldowns. Meanwhile, modern soldiers, though blooded, keep resupplying from caches, rotating positions, and calling mortar until ammo runs low. The outcome depends on one factor: time. If Helldivers can crush the line fast, they win. If modern soldiers survive the first wave and force the fight into a drawn-out grind, the Helldivers bleed out. Psychology and morale, this is often overlooked, but it's critical. Helldivers aren't reckless lunatics, but they are conditioned to accept death as part of the mission. That means they won't hesitate under fire. They won't panic at first blood. Their morale is ironclad. Modern soldiers, though, have another advantage: adaptability. They've fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, real-world asymmetric conflicts. They improvise, adapt, and survive. They value life, which means they fight to win, not just to complete an objective. Both sides have psychological edges, but the Helldivers' willingness to take absurd risks could cut both ways. Against bugs, it works. Against trained humans with modern combined arms, it may backfire. So, who wins? Here is the final verdict. In a short, sharp clash, 35 Helldivers almost certainly overpower 60 modern soldiers. Their tech gap is too large. Orbital strikes, laser rifles, and mechs would decimate a platoon before reinforcements even arrive. But if the fight lasts more than an hour, if modern soldiers can scatter, regroup, call in artillery, or simply run the Helldivers out of stratagems, then the tide turns. Future tech isn't infinite. Batteries drain, ammo runs out, and 35 against 60 is a dangerous numbers game when the element of surprise fades. So the real answer is it depends. Helldivers win the battle. Modern soldiers might win the war. And maybe that's the most interesting conclusion of all. Conclusion: this clash between future soldiers and real-world warriors isn't about who has the cooler weapons. It's about doctrine, logistics, and time. Helldivers bring devastating, almost unfair firepower, but modern soldiers bring resilience, adaptability, and the real-world experience of fighting humans, not aliens. In the end, it's a stalemate written in fire. 35 Helldivers could burn a platoon into ash in minutes, but 60 modern soldiers, given just enough time, could turn fanatical super commandos into exhausted casualties. Which side would you bet on?